Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Women Are Worthy Network. I am so glad you're here with us on a terrific Tuesday or whatever day you're watching this when it's on replay. So, when I tell y'all we going to have a show, we going to have a show. So, I want to give a special shout out to DJ Pretty and Fun. She said they're definitely waiting for this, especially from Black women. Yep, your melanin queens, we got this. So, ladies and gentlemen, please meet Tiah Tomlin-Harris. Tiah is a breast cancer survivor. She's also leading the charge in research initiative regarding studying of toxic chemicals in beauty products. Look, when we were talking about this the other night, a couple of weeks ago, I said, girl, let me tell you something. I was nervous. I'm like, oh my God, we're gonna talk about toxic chemicals. Let me wipe this lipstick off. Let me wash my face. Let me throw all my stuff away. That's what I was thinking. So, and it's particularly the beauty products that are marketed and targeted to Black women. Why are Black women not represented in clinical trials? So Tiah wants to ensure that other Black women are educated on the toxins in our beauty products. Again, so if you want to join our tribe, please subscribe. Let me take care of housekeeping so I don't have to hear my interns and my teams telling me, hey Jackie, can you please start reminding people to follow the show? So again, we're going to be talking to this terrific, phenomenal lady. We're going to be talking about toxins in makeup, in our makeup that's targeted towards African American women, right? So Tiah, thank you for educating us. And since we last met, girl, you got married on me.
Yes, I got married. I was married now.
You now. You done jumped the broom and everything.
Yeah.
Congratulations, my sister. I hope
Thank you.
I bless you with years and years of wonderful union.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, Tiah, let's get into it because people don't want to hear me babbling. They want to know, how did you get into this? And let's talk about your breast cancer journey and which led you into this, this realm or arena of makeup with Black women.
Yeah. So, for those who don't know, and thank you for having me on the show. Once again, I'm excited to be here. I was diagnosed at a young age. I was what we call a young survivor. I was under the age of 40. And the reason why we say young survivor, because of course, 40 is the age that they're recommending mammograms. And how I discovered cancer, how it came about was I've been doing self breast exams since I was in the 7th grade. And I always, I was in the 7th grade. I was 12 years old. And I always go back to that because this is something that a lot of us in our community are not doing, and we're not having the conversations with our children and our children's children about breast health. So when I was in the 7th grade, what prompted me to do it, of course, I was taking a sex education class in middle school, and they were talking about self-breast exams. Now, as a 12-year-old, most of us are thinking, ew, I don't want to talk about boobies. I have a 12-year-old niece, and that's what she says to me. I don't want to talk about boobies. It's gross. It's weird. But I had an aunt who was not a blood relative, but she was my dad's brother's wife, was diagnosed with breast cancer. And all we knew was our auntie lost her breast the end of the discussion. We didn't talk about it. We just knew that she lost her breast. So if you think in a 12-year-old's mind, what am I thinking when it comes to my breasts, right? I don't want to lose mine, so I better check them, right? So it was about timing. And so I had been doing it since I was in the 7th grade. Of course, I really didn't know what I was doing. It wasn't until I got older and started going to see a gynecologist that I started asking questions like, okay, what is this thing about self-breast exams and how do you do it? Not that I ever had, like there was breast cancer in my family or anything like that. I just knew in the back of my mind, my aunt lost her breast. And so the image of that as a child was very scary. And
Right.
And so we didn't talk about it. My mother didn't talk to me about breast health, and partly because her mother didn't talk about breast health to her. And back then it was thought to be a white woman's disease.
Mhm.
And so fast forward, I'm doing a breast exam. I'm in the shower. And at the time we had my business partner, shout out to Sharon Lovins. We had a LLC at the time. And we had just kicked off our partnership with American Cancer Society because we were going to be a cause marketing company to put on events to raise awareness for various causes. And our first cause was prostate cancer. So that was the brother cancer to breast cancer. And we felt like, breast cancer gets a lot of attention.
Mhm.
We don't want to do anything for around breast cancer. What about the men? So we had this big event that we were planning for November in 2015. Well, in the midst of us planning that, after we land our partnership, that's when I get hit with breast cancer. And of course, I felt the lump in my breast. And so after I felt the lump in my breast, of course, it took the wind out of my sails because I knew it was breast cancer. I didn't feel it the week prior. And, I was in Jamaica hanging out with my friends and family, just having a good time, and I did a self breast exam, felt nothing. And I did it the next week, not because nothing said do it. It's just, it was a habit for me to just check my breast. And I'm in the shower and I'm doing a self breast exam and I'm like, crap, it's breast cancer. Like I knew it immediately because of the way it felt. And it wasn't there before. And so that morning, the next morning, I laid down and I did it again because you're supposed to do it in different positions.
Right.
And I did not feel it. So I try to psych myself out and say, okay, it's not what I think it is. Your mom had fibrocystic breast. Just go to the doctor. So I sat up and I felt it again. I could feel it when I sat up. So I said, okay, Tia, it's a $25 copay. Just go. And I was dreading going because I didn't want to hear what they were going to tell me. So, of course, my gynecologist, she felt it. She said, okay, I want you to go, go get a mammogram. It's an ultrasound. So I go get a mammogram. And I'm sitting in the office and women are going in and out, in and out. And, in this particular location, it was quiet. There was no TV. Typically, you'll have a TV in a doctor's office or something, but I'm sitting in this waiting area with a gown on, very vulnerable, and I'm there to sit in my thoughts.
Wow.
So sitting there emotional because of what I feel in my breast. So finally, they have me. They go in, they do a mammogram. Then they call me back and say, "We need you to come back in again because we're not getting the right angles." So I'm like, okay, whatever that means, but all right, I'll go back in there because again, I'm under 40. I'd never had a mammogram. So they bring me back in there. They do it again. Then they sit me back. Then they take me into a room and they say, "We need you to come back for a biopsy." So now I'm like, okay, you want me to come back for a biopsy? Something is going on.
Right.
I go home, I fly to Virginia. I tell my parents because I was afraid to tell them in the beginning because I didn't want them to worry. But I ended up telling them that, and my mother felt it. And, my father, I said, Dad, feel this. And my mom said, Dad, told my father to feel it. And he said, oh, well, it felt like what your mom had, the fibrocystic breast. And so they're like, you don't have to worry. And of course, I'm emotional. I'm crying. I get back to Atlanta and go back to the doctor. No, I'm sorry. I was waiting for the test results. And then that's when it came back a few days later saying it's breast cancer. And that's all I could hear. Like I couldn't hear anything else aside from it's breast cancer. And, in that moment, everything ran through my head. Am I going to live? Is anybody going to want me? I'm going to lose my breast. How am I going to have this conversation with my mother and father? What am I going to do, at my house, my job? Like, I don't know. I don't have family here. I'm here by myself. Like, how is this going to pan out? And so it was very, very scary. And that's how I came to the diagnosis of breast cancer.
Okay, so what I want to remind everyone, all our sisters that are watching, whether we all know someone who has some form of cancer. Breast cancer, we have to make sure we're going in for our mandatory checks. It's mandatory. You're not paying anything for, when you have to get your pelvic, your pap smear. Get those done. Get your breasts done. And I know at one point, look, y'all know I be saying TMI now. So I'm a woman with breasts, okay? Okay, breasts. So when I go and I get my mammogram, I dread it because when I tell you they smashing those bad boys down, I want a reduction, but I don't want a reduction when I'm getting a mammogram because it hurts so much when they do it. And also when you don't have anything, like a large size bust, I heard that hurts as well. But ladies, we have to practice self-examination. We have to, do what we need to do. If you have a significant other, you can make that into something as well. Have him or her feel that area as well. It's so important. And when it's near your cycle and not near your cycle, it's so important. What I want to tell you, Tia, let me say this before you begin your story. I love you. You were on our show once, and the fact that you're being so transparent, because you're right. When you hear the C word, I've never had that, but that's what I hear people. I want you to be transparent. Like, what do I do? I'm here by myself. Is a man going to want me because I don't have a breast? If I have to get it, a mastectomy, what am I still? Because when we think about, I'm doing air quotes, guys. Am I still considered a woman if it's off? Breast doesn't define us. But it's easy for me to say that because I still have my boobies. But when you don't have your boobies, you don't want to hear that. So, okay, so that led to that journey. What then led you to finding out that we, as African American women, need to read labels on our makeup and be very careful what we're putting on our face? Because, girl, I'm telling you, because of you, I done threw away so much damn makeup thanks to you. But go ahead, girl. Go ahead.
Well, hearing the words as cancer is something that would just freak you out. Like, nobody wants to ever hear that in their lifetime, and my background was in chemistry. I was a chemist. I worked in the pharmaceutical industry and then eventually transitioned into T&D. And so I remember, being around chemicals and things of that nature and reading the labels on the bottles that I'm working with to test the products. And it would say, it's a carcinogen, it's this, it's that. And then you started to hear about like formaldehyde. I don't know if you remember when the big boom came out about formaldehyde and nail polish and things of that nature. So, you hear about these stories. And I remember, it's so funny, when I lived in New York, Wendy Williams is who was on the radio. And I used to listen to her, and she used to talk about people who were naturalists, right? She would call them the dirty backpack crew, like the natural deodorants and, incense and sage and all that stuff. And I used to chuckle when I would listen to her in my 20s. I was like, I'm not going to be a part of the dirty backpack. I love the music, but just that whole natural thing. And, you think your underarms are going to stink or whatever. So in my mind, I was like, I'm never going to be that person. And I laugh today because I'm like, watch what you say, because I'm somewhat that person now, right? So having this exposure to, these stories and hearing this stuff, and I'm a researcher by nature. And so listening to all of these things, when I got diagnosed, it was a no-brainer for me. I did not have a genetic mutation. Only 5 to 10% of women who are diagnosed with breast cancer actually have a genetic mutation. It didn't run in my family or any relatable cancers run in my family as it pertains to, cancer or breast cancer. So I'm like, where is this coming from? What am I being exposed to that is leading to a cancer diagnosis? So for me, it was a process of elimination. Let me get rid of stuff. It was a no-brainer. I flew to Virginia, told my family about the diagnosis. My mother flew back with me. We had our appointment with the breast surgeon. And when I got home, I got a box and I started getting rid of everything. I mean, I was the girl, if the bottle was pretty, I bought it, right? I love to smell good. So and then I lived in New York. So, having access to a lot of the stuff was easy. And so when I moved from New York and bought things here, it was just, I kind of kept that up, right? So bottles of perfume and plugins and aerosol sprays and, you have your Bath and Body Works, you have the lotion, you have the shower gel, you have the, just all of those things, shower creams and sprays. And I mean, I just had it all. And I said, I'm getting rid of it. It was, I didn't care how much I spent on it. I did not want it anymore because I'm like, now I'm in a fight for my life. And I truly believe, and I always say this, are you feeding cancer or are you fighting cancer? We all have cancer cells in our body and our body is constantly fighting them. But at this point now, I've already been diagnosed. So what can I do to complement the modalities in the treatment plan that I'm about to undergo and help myself? I don't want to feed the cancer by continuing on with the stuff that I was using. Let me eliminate as much as I can in my life to try to help alongside the treatment, to fight this disease. So like I said, I got rid of everything and then I just started researching. Now, of course, I was doing my DIYs, right? Go old school. Remember what grandma used to do? Pull out the vinegar, pull out your baking soda, pull out your lemons and start making your own stuff. And I started making my own stuff until I could find replacements. And then I found an app called Think Dirty. There's also another one, Clearia. There's Detox Me and Skin Deep. So I found these apps and I started scanning my products that I had in my house. Like, okay, this is the product that I was using. Okay, this is the product. Now, by this time I got rid of everything, but I would just go through and start reading the labels on the products that I was using. And I'm like, crap, half of these things are not, even more than half were in the red. And then the items that were not listed, then I started researching the chemicals. I started going.
Let me cut you off for a second because I want you to pick back. So I
Yep.
want everyone, let me recap this, what she just said, because I don't want you guys to miss this. She downloaded 2 apps and she scanned her products to see is it safe or what, and she realized it was in the red zone, which means these are not products that you're supposed to be putting in your body. So I want you to hear that because Tia, for me, I had like I used to use a lot of lotions like you and stuff like that. I make my own lotion. I have my own lotion with shea butter that I use, and I make some concoction deodorants. I just want to put this in there, and then we can go back. So many women are using deodorants, and you don't understand the net. Oh my God, the toxic chemicals that are in deodorants. One of the things I loved about Princess Diana, she was a proponent against using aerosols. I remember back then where she was trying to get rid of that. People stopped using aerosols. But when you're using deodorant, whether it's, we're not going to name the big giants out there, but they have toxic chemicals. So what I try to tell people, and what I do tell people, I got to remove the word try. I use the word try because I tell them and they don't damn listen. So I tell them, like, there's a good way of detoxing with bentonite clay. You put that under your arm and you pull out the toxins because, again, you're sweating, your pores are open, and you're spraying the deodorant. That has something to do with when people are finding lumps and it's under their arms and things like that. So I just want to put that out there. So continue, Tia, with your amazing story.
Yeah. So I just want to add to what you're saying. One of the things that people don't realize, and we don't talk about this, is our lymphatic system. Have your doctor ever talked to you about your lymphatic system, right? Growing up, it may be, let me check your tonsils, right? Let me check your throat or your thyroids, or, you have swollen lymph nodes. That's about all that we really hear, but we don't really understand the lymphatic system. And when we think about breast cancer, oftentimes it travels to those lymph nodes, right? When it leaves the breast, it goes to the lymph nodes. And under our arm is one of the main areas that it goes, because there's a pocket under the axilla. We have a pocket of nodes. It's a collection site. So when you talk about the deodorants, that have the parabens in it or have the aluminum in it, again, it's blocking our ability to sweat. We're supposed to sweat. Why? Because sweating is a part of us releasing those toxins. So I wanted to, add to your point when you were talking about the deodorant, so people have even more of an understanding. But kind of back to what I was sharing with you before, so it was a no-brainer for me to just get rid of everything. And like I said, I started to research and I started to replace the things with things that were clean. And I just continued to research. And some of the things that I've learned with the research, and this was 7 years ago. Gosh, I can't believe it's been that long, but thank God, 7 years. But as I started to look into this and continue to research, it wasn't a lot of information for Black women. A lot of the studies were around white women, their products. Now, more recently, we're starting to hear more about Black women. But when I looked at sites like safecosmetics.org or EWG Environmental Working Group, things that I was reading was about like the endocrine disrupting chemicals. And so they're called EDCs. And these are things that are, they mimic estrogen. They act like estrogen. So yes, our bodies need estrogen, but too much estrogen can lead to an increased risk of breast cancer. And then when we think about young girls, think about all the issues that we're having around fertility and early onset puberty with young girls. Fibroids, just all of these things that we're having as women, in particular Black women. I'm like, what is going on in our community? Why is this happening? And I remember being at the breast cancer symposium, the San Antonio Breast Cancer Symposium a few years ago, and they were talking about how young girls, Black girls, are getting their periods at early ages, like 9 years old. Typically we get it around 12, right? But they're getting it at 9 years old, and they're getting younger. And they showed the trends from years to years, how we've gotten younger. And so it made me wonder, like, okay, what's going on? All right, we know the GMOs in the food. We know some of those things, but what else is happening? And that's when I start really digging into the chemical products that we're using. And I'm seeing that, a lot of these products, especially when we're young, and if we're a pregnant woman carrying a baby and we're exposing our bodies to those products, guess who else is being exposed? It's affecting the mammary glands. And even some studies are saying it can happen for generations. So if I'm a mom, I'm pregnant, I'm exposing my fetus, now I've altered, things going on with my fetus. And now as they have a baby, now it kind of passes on from generation, for a couple of generations. So as I start looking at this, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is a huge problem. And when you get on social media, what do you see? Girls are beating their faces, as they say, to the gods, right? I mean, they have on just makeup on top of makeup on top of makeup. And yes, it's beautiful, but do we know what problems it's causing for us? And like I said, the earlier that we're exposed to these harmful chemicals, the greater the risk becomes. The more that we're exposed, the greater the risk becomes. And so when you start looking at how we give our little girls our old makeup, right? We give our little girls things that, because there's all kind of stuff that's out there for little kids, and they're just putting it all on their face. They're really into the sprays. And where do we spray? We're spraying all in our neck area where the lymph nodes are, all in our breast area, because we want to smell good. And then some people say, well, I'm going to spray it on my clothes. Well, you're still inhaling it. Like, our skin is our largest organ. So what we're putting on our skin, it does get absorbed into our bodies. It may not be 100%, but it doesn't matter. It's still getting absorbed. And it's a large percent that's being absorbed into our bodies. And then where does it go? It goes into our bloodstream. So we're not thinking about these things, even if we're inhaling it. It's still affecting our health tremendously. And so for me, it's really spreading the message, teaching people how to read their labels. I have a course that I do, two classes that I offer. One is a Clean Beauty Matters class where we're teaching people about the things that we're talking about today. And then I have another class that I offer. It's called Breast Health Matters. And our goal is to reach young girls, young teen girls, especially young Black girls and women, to talk about breast health, but also to talk about these things that we're talking about today. We have been focused for so long on what we put in our bodies. We are not focusing on what we're putting on our bodies. It's both. We need to look at both. And what are our exposures? It's not just hair care, but it's makeup, it's, perfumes and fragrance. Fragrance is one of the worst chemicals that we can use. It's in everything. It's in our trash bags, it's in our makeup, it's in, hair care products, it's everywhere. So that's another thing we need to be mindful of and be careful of. And then the greenwashing. A lot of labels look pretty. They look natural. They may even say, cruelty free. And we think, oh, this is great. This is a good product. Cruelty free just means it's not tested on animals. It does not mean that it's a clean product. So we really have to understand how to read those labels and, what are some alternative products? If you're a person that wear makeup every day, I tell people scale back, because sometimes it's hard, right? It's hard to make those changes, just like with food. Some people are really into, are foodies. And so it's hard to really make some of those changes and adjustments. So I say baby steps. You don't have to go in your closet and just throw everything away, that's in your pantry or, under your sink, wherever you keep your cleaning.
Yeah, I'm not playing with you. I'm not playing with you right now. Because after we had this conversation, that's what I doggone did. So stop telling these people that, because that's what you made me.
Well, I would rather them to do it, right? Yeah. But I understand everybody can't afford to do it.
Right.
And I have to be realistic. So I tell people, okay, when it's done, when that product is empty, replace it with something clean. If you can't afford to do it. And then the other thing when it comes to makeup and hair care products, look in our community. What do you see on every corner? You see a smoke shop, you see a greasy spoon,
alcohol,
you see a liquor store, and you see a beauty supply store. But you go into other communities, what do you see in their communities? You see the Trader Joe's, you see the Whole Foods, you see the juice bars and the organic food and all that stuff. But why is it that in our communities, we have all the things that harm us? And it's everywhere. I'm not saying it's not in the other communities, but it's not as much as it is in our communities. So we have to understand our buying power as Black women is tremendous. We spend, in the beauty industry alone, we spend 9 times more than any other race. 9 times more than any other race. And these products are being marketed to us in so many different ways. but they know that our body burden, we have the highest body burden, meaning toxicity that's in our system, and so I really encourage women. I challenge them. This is a take action conversation. I don't want to just do the work and people say, "Oh, you're doing a great job," but nobody is impacted by it. This is a conversation of, ladies, we got to take action. If not for yourself, do it for your mother, do it for your daughters, do it for the children that are not even here.
You do it for the community, because what I try, and I'm challenging my walking group too, challenging them that to read the labels, find out. Even when I go to the dentist, because when you mentioned, see, when you're in the plant-based world and when you're like from other islands, you know about these things. You're trained, so you know, and you find doctors who are like, especially with lymph nodes. So when I go to dentists and I get my teeth cleaned or whatever, and they want to do an X-ray, get me the thyroid guard. And they're like, wait a minute. And a lot of people don't know that. So for all of you out there, when you're going to the dentist and they're going to X-ray you, ask for the thyroid guard. They have it. They may tell you they have it. And that covers that area, because I'm not playing with my glands. And even when I get massages, I get lymphatic massages. They hurt like heck. But I get those massages, not all the time, but I do get them, and things so I'm so there with you, but there are others that are not. And I'm glad that you're here, because like you said something tremendous. You dropped some jewels when you said, this is not like, okay, I do the work and thank you. You're challenging people. This is an action. This is an action. Ladies, ladies, ladies. Black ladies, specifically, y'all want to look good. Y'all want to smell good. Read the labels. I have a friend that doesn't want to sweat, doesn't like sweating, and I don't sweat. I don't perspire. I sweat. I'm like a dude. I sweat. So, but now because I'm doing other things, it's not like that as much. She actually went and got the injection so she wouldn't sweat, clog up her. And I'm like, what do you think that's doing to you? That's like almost. I'm going there. You done opened up the can of worms. I'm going. That's like that's taking that Depro shot where you don't get your cycle for a couple of months. That is not normal. Okay, you're supposed to bleed. You're supposed to cleanse yourself. I'm not judging people. I'm just telling y'all the deal. So in order to go into the doctor, dermatologist, and have them give you, I forgot what those shots are called, so you can't perspire. So where are those toxins going? Okay. So, okay, you got me on fire.
Yeah. They're recirculating in our bodies. And when that happens, it becomes a worse situation, right? And this is why, and I'm loving the fact that we hear about, detoxing our bodies, but we really need to understand what that is. It's not just going and get a gallon of juice and just drinking the juice, right? It's more to it, and it's a process. You have to detox in a certain order, because again, all you can, if you're not doing it right, you can just push more toxins into your body and create a worse situation. So, and that's a whole nother conversation that I'm not going to get into now, but these things are critical. Really understanding the impact. Our laws, we have not had any major law changes nationally since like the 1930s. Now, there was 2 laws that was passed not too long ago in California that basically required exposures, right? It's all about transparency. Mm-hmm. If you want to use fragrance, I don't care that you use fragrance. I just want to be able to make an informed decision. So what chemicals are in your fragrance? Fragrance is a general term, and like I said, it's the worst chemical because we don't know the makeup of those ingredients that make up the fragrance. And, and it has been like proprietary information for these companies because that is kind of their biggest seller, right? Especially if you are a manufacturer of colognes and perfumes and things of that nature. But California, and I love the fact that California is doing this. They're like, no, you need to be transparent so that people can make informed decisions whether they want to buy your product or not. And the other part, going back to the greenwashing, and you talked about making natural products. A lot of people are now starting to make natural products, but we still need to be careful because if they're using fragrant oils and not essential oils, again, you don't know what that makeup of the fragrance is. You don't know where those raw ingredients that make up the fragrance come from. So that then creates a problem. So I always ask when I go to these events, these markets, I'll say, what kind of oils did you use? I don't say essential oils or fragrant oils. I just ask them what kind of oils do they use to make it smell good, because I want to hear them tell me whether they're using essential oils or fragrant oils, because some people don't know, and it's an opportunity for me to not bash their product or anything like that, but to educate them and let them know there is a difference. And I don't, if it's fragrant oils, I don't buy it for sure, but I think these things are really, really important for us to be aware. It's all about transparency so we can make informed decisions. When we don't have that transparency, we can't make those informed decisions. I mean, even down to things like candles. We're burning candles.
The wood, yeah. Mm-hmm. So let me ask you a question. Have you then met with, for example, the big makeup conglomerates, or arranged something to have conversations with them, like, let's say Benti, because I'm not gonna say that. Let's say Benti.
Right.
Have you decided, or whack?
Right.
Y'all know where I'm going with this. So have you had an opportunity, because considering this is one of the top makeup, companies, have you had a discussion to sit down with these people to say, let's have a conversation. We see what's in your product and you're being transparent, but let's be a little bit more. Have you had the opportunity to sit down with these makeup conglomerates?
Yeah. Well, no, I have not. That is something that definitely needs to happen. But until you start, one, I think back to Beauty Counter, right? I'm going back to a Beauty Counter, and I'm going to say Beauty Counter. Back when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I thought about becoming a rep for them, but they didn't have enough. They didn't have many products for Black women. Now they have more, but at that time they did not. And I remember one of the reps saying to me, well, the reason why they don't, because it's not a demand for it. So you asked the question about, am I talking to, these companies that make the products that have the harmful chemicals? The answer is no. And if there's not a demand for it, it may not, it's a demand for it on, with white women, but Black women are not rallying together and making enough noise around this and how it's affecting us. Now, what I have done is I've spoken in front of our legislators. I've done congressional briefings. I've told my stories to Congress to say, we need to make this change. As a matter of fact, there's the safety beauty bill package that if anyone who's listened and tuned in, and I'm going to share the information with you so you can share it out with your network, but we need to get in and we need to talk to our legislators. We need to send letters to them because this is affecting us. And think about it. We are big on our hair. Now, yes, a lot of us have gone natural, but we're still using a lot of those products. We're not doing as much perms, but we're still using the products for our natural hair. And even more so, we're using more products. And even if we're getting braids, we're still using those products. Our scalp is still being exposed to these products. It's still being absorbed into our skin. It doesn't matter. So we really, really need to take action and get involved with organizations who are doing this work, who are speaking out about it, talking to our legislators, writing letters, signing petitions. Like, we've got to do that because we've got to make noise. If we're not making enough noise, they're not going to care.
Well, here's the thing too with our community. I think when something happens, we're there, then we disappear. We don't put our foot to their necks and keep that, where they're almost choking. Okay, we don't do that. It's like, okay, what's happening next? It's like we have the ADD thing. What's next? What's next? What's next? We don't stay on topic. And as Black women, as much as we put into the beauty products, white women don't even put as much. As much money as we put into the hands of other people who don't look like us, and we're buying their products, and it is killing us. It's a shame that we don't do that, because when I'm talking about we got to go from inside, if we're plant-based or whatever, and you're eating inside, you're doing well on the inside, you got to be careful, mindful of what you're putting on the outside. And for me, I've made that conscious decision years ago And also you may look good on the outside, but what you're putting in on the inside. So thinking affects everything, not just what goes in, what also comes out and what's on the face. But I love that you're doing this, because I remember years ago they said if you want to make your nails hard, put formaldehyde on it. And we had someone that we knew in New York that was getting formaldehyde for you to put on your nails. You put it in your nail polish before. So you already know your nail polish back then had formaldehyde. This was more formaldehyde, and I'm like, this doesn't make sense, because first of all, I don't need something that when I'm dead they injecting in me to put on my body. So a lot of people just don't understand, and I'm loving the fact that Tiah, this is what you're doing. For those of you just tuning in, we have Tiah Tomlin-Harris. When I say she is well versed in this, where she's fighting the fight. She needs our support. She can't do it by herself. So whether you're donating, you're supporting her pages, her channel, go out and talk to your friends, mothers and daughters, if you're on there, and grandmamas, aunties, if you're on here, please make sure you go. When you get off here, this is what I'm challenging you to. When you get off this, okay, because it'll be, get a little later, please go into that room that you have thousands of perfume, thousands of nail polish, because a lot of people polish their own nails. Your makeup. What I need from you, Tiah, is give me the 2 apps again so I can put it on the face on here. What's the first app?
So the first app is Think Dirty. THINK, like you're thinking. Dirty. Mm-hmm. Like dirty as an unclean.
And the next one?
And then there is one called Clearya, CLEARYA. Okay. And then I'll give you another one. It's called Detox Me.
Detox Me?
Mm-hmm. Detox Me. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so ladies, I want you to go and download the app, Think Dirty, Clearya. I'm posting it now, and Detox Me. I don't care how much it costs, because at the end of the day, your deductible and your co-insurance is going to be a whole lot. And for people undergoing breast cancer, when they have to get chemo or radiation, it can wipe you out. I've seen people sell their homes so the money can go towards that. So if it's $50 or whatever the app costs, are there fees for these apps that you know?
Nope, they're free.
For free app. So there's no excuse. Ladies who I'm walking with, when I see y'all again, I'm going to ask you for your phone, because I want to see that. I definitely want to see that on your app, that you've downloaded, and everything you're putting on your face, you scan it like you're taking a picture, and you see what it says. Because, girl, I think I got a couple left. And because I'm even starting to do my own makeup now, trying to make it and stuff. So I'm going to, the ones that I do have left, like Wenty, I'm going to be scanning, because I done got some of that whack makeup. That's the name rhyme for the other makeup.
Right.
I have a few left the lipstick, and I'm gonna be scanning them. I'm gonna cry because I love my Ruby Woo, but I got to check it out.
I know. And listen, there's a company, and a small Black business. She's out of Chicago. She's young. Organic Graffiti Cosmetics. She sells all the cool colors, but her products are a natural product. They're clean. They don't have the harmful chemicals in them. She definitely, pays attention to where she's sourcing her products from. And then Demi Blue, I'm going to shout these Black women out. They've been supportive of the work that I've done. And I truly believe wholeheartedly in supporting one another, for us, by us. Demi Blue Natural Nails. She is based out of St. Louis. And she also has clean, non-toxic vegan nail polish as well. But, getting back to what we were talking about, when we think about beauty, Black women are just gorgeous. We are beautiful, and we have bought into, these Eurocentric ideas of beauty. And it's unfortunate, because by doing that, it's affecting us. It's killing us. It's harming us. And so, we just got to really pay attention. I do things like, not only just through the education, the Breast Health Matters, and being a part of Bench to Community, but as part of my role in Bench to Community, I'm an advisory board member. We're having a symposium on September 16th, and it's a virtual symposium, and we're going to be talking about these types of things. I also host Hey Girl Hey parties. So if you want an intimate party, a private party, kind of like old school Tupperware parties, something that was fun, but I do that to go into women's homes They get their sister circle. I say 8 women because 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. Bring your 8 girls together. It can be teens, it can be your mother, your sister, your friend, your coworker, whatever, even men. Bring us together because men can get breast cancer too, and this stuff affects men just like it affects women, right? And also, men tend to find lumps in their women's breasts because they're paying more attention. But host a Hey Girl Hey party with us. I recently, because I really want to teach women about doing self breast exams. They call it self breast awareness now because they don't want people to think that it's a replacement of mammograms. I don't care what you call it. It's check yourself before you wreck yourself, basically, and we're not doing it enough. We're not having conversations about it. And so I do the Hey Girl Hey parties to really teach women how to do their self breast exams. But I also developed a product, and it's going to be released on the market soon. It is a herbal breast massage oil because we want to teach women how to do their self breast exams, but also using the herbal oil to help them really feel and be intentional about their breast. And so, I'll share that information with you, but this is really, really important. You are your first level of defense before a doctor or anybody else. And sometimes we say, we don't want to go to the doctor because we don't have insurance. Do not let not having insurance be something to stop you, because there are programs out here that do offer free mammograms, even if you are underinsured, meaning you have insurance, but you can't afford co-pays or you can't afford the out-of-pocket deductibles, because that can be pricey, right? I remember when I was initially, going through the diagnosis for the first time, I had to pay like $400. And I'm like, who just have $400 just drop just like that? Some people have it, some people don't, but don't let that be a deterrent from you going to get checked, because early detection is key. The earlier you find it, the more treatment options we have, the better the outcomes, right? When you wait and it becomes later stages, and that's what tends to happen, women will reach out to me when it's really, really late. Black women are not dying from breast cancer. We're dying from metastatic breast cancer. So if we're not taking control of our health and we're prolonging it, we risk being diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer. And for those who don't know what metastatic breast cancer is, there are 4 stages, stage 1 through 4. The 4th stage is the metastatic stage, and that is what they call the incurable stage. This is what women die from who have had breast cancer. And we know that Black women, we are 2 times more likely to be diagnosed and 3 times more likely to die from this disease. As of this year, breast cancer has now become the leading cause of cancer-related death in Black women. So when we look at these factors, ladies, this is important information. I do this, granted, I don't have children, but I have 2 nieces. And I don't ever want them to have to hear it's breast cancer in their lifetime. I don't want them to have to hear it's cancer in their lifetime. So this is why I'm diligent in doing what I do and have dedicated my life to walking my life's purpose, to be able to give back, share my story, but also call women to take action. I always say we educate, we motivate, and we activate. If I can't just educate you without motivating you and activating you. So, ladies, this is truly, truly a call to action conversation to do your breast exams, check your breast. If you don't know how, reach out to me. I will teach you. I will do a Zoom and show you how to do it. I will come to your home if you're nearby. This is important to me because I don't want to see another woman have to suffer because of lack of knowledge.
And what I want to put out there is I'm on the advisory board of Loving Arms. And Loving Arms, it's a cancer outreach center in Marietta and Cobb County. And basically, it's phenomenal. We have an oncology nurse. She's one of the founders, Shay. And what I love about them, like if you need, a wig, and I'm telling you, they get some bad wigs. What I mean bad, I mean good wigs. If you have issues with your light bill, utilities, we have donors that actually donate to them and help. We have luncheons, and I'm one of the people when I, attend the luncheons, I massage the ladies. You're sitting on a chair, motivational, we're playing meditation music, lights are off, and we're massaging the women. Foods are donated, and it's a place for women and men can come and fellowship. You sit down, and it's not like, oh my God, I got cancer. It's one of those things like, I have cancer, and my doctor prescribed this medication, but it's not working for me. Another person will have the same cancer that you have and will say, hey, tell the doctor dial down your dosage. That's what worked for me. So they have a conversation. So again, it's called Loving Arms Cancer Outreach Center. It's, if you have any issue, if you want to know more about it, let me know. It's a phenomenal place for resources. And what I notice about breast cancer, we don't talk about the men, and the men feel like they're left out. And a lot of men don't want, they feel something, but they don't go anywhere because they think because they're a man, they can't get breast cancer. And somehow in their minds, in their warped way of thinking, it's not something that men should be getting. Well, yes, you have breasts. You have breasts, so it will happen. So I want everyone to please, again, this is a call to action. Do your self exams. If you're going to get a mammogram tomorrow, your PCP, you're getting your pap done. And I'm one because in the past I wouldn't let my doctor do it because I know how to do it. Girl, I rip off my shirt, lay it down, and I'm like, go ahead, baby. And even when I get a massage, I have this particular female masseuse. She had breast cancer, and when she's massaging, she'll actually go around that perimeter. And here's the thing, y'all. If you're a big busted woman and you wear underwires, and I'm telling y'all, get rid of the underwires. But if you're wearing, and when they massage that center part of between your breasts where that underwire hits, when I tell you it hurts like hell when they're massaging it because it pushes everything together and it holds it in. And when you have them massage that part, Tia, I tell you, it feels such a relief. So I want to just remind people, please get your massages, do your self exam, and if you can't reach out to Tia, reach out to me and I'll connect you with her. When you go to your doctor, get it done. Get your significant other. If he don't want to do it, grab his hand and show him how to do it. Let him see what you're doing and how it's done. If you have young daughters, show them how to do a breast exam as well. What would you like the people to take away from this? What one tip?
Yeah, so I say take action, right? So the first thing would be the legislation. Definitely reaching out to your legislators. There's a website called Breast Cancer Prevention Partners. It's bccp.org. Go to their website and look for the tab that says Take Action. It talks about the Safer Beauty Bill. Sign on to that and get your legislators involved to let them know, listen, it's not good for us to have these harmful chemicals in our products. So that's the first and foremost thing. The other thing is connect with Bench to Community. They are doing some survey data collections, looking at Black women. They just came out with their research that basically said they looked at parabens. And you may have seen parabens on our hair care products or things that say paraben free. What they found was they looked at the cell lines for Black women, breast cancer cell lines for Black women, and breast cancer cell lines for white women. When they put the parabens on those cell lines, what they saw was the Black breast cancer cells were growing rapidly, way more rapidly than the white breast cancer cells. So right there, it goes to show you that there's something with the parabens in us, right, in Black women. So again, get involved with Bench to Community. Attend the symposium. It's going to be September 16th from 12 to 4 Pacific time. You can go on their website, bench2community.org, and go to their events tab and sign up for it. The other piece is connect with me.
Bench2.org.
Bench2 Community.
Bench2 Community. Okay.
Yep. Reach out to me, host a Hey Girl Hey party. If you are a church group or you have a nonprofit organization, a sister group, or what have you, reach out to me and we can make sure that we get your sister group educated. You can reach me at ttomlin@mystylematters.org. Download those apps. I say, look at the top 10 products that you use each and every day and take those products and then go through them, scan those products and find out what's in the products. What are you using? Because the truth of the matter is Black women or women, period, we use about 12 products a day, which exposes us to 168 chemicals per day, right? Think about that over a lifetime. Think about that over a period of a year. A study have shown that women absorb about 5 pounds of toxic chemicals every single year. So
Wow.
if we're not learning how to detox our bodies, we're not learning how to use the right products, coupled with all the other things that we're not talking about today, where it's food, sleep, stress, you know, just the other things, right? We're putting ourselves in a position of health challenges, health risks. So definitely really, really take action and do these things and talk about it. When you go to your doctor, not only should you be doing your self breast exams, you should also make sure that you're getting clinical breast exams. And we're not doing it as often because, unfortunately, the standards have come out and said, oh, well, we don't see a big value add. But for Black women, we're being diagnosed at younger ages. So it is added value. The earlier we detect it, the better outcomes are. So talk to your doctor. If you don't feel like your doctor, because sometimes the doctors just kind of move their hands across your chest. If you don't feel like they're really checking, ask them questions. You have to advocate for yourself. Ask them, well, what do you feel? How do you know if something is there? Ask them those different questions to, not that you're questioning their ability to do their job, but you want to make sure that, especially if you're not checking yourself, that somebody is checking you. And I know that there are women out here, unfortunately, they feel like their breasts are ugly, or it may be a cultural thing. They don't touch their breasts. It may be a religion thing. They don't touch their breasts. They don't look at their breasts. But ladies, I really want to encourage you to really consider this, because this is a thing that's taking women out. Black women are dying from breast cancer, from metastatic breast cancer. And so we want you to be do things to lower your risk. And then again, looking at early detection. When it comes to Black women, we're diagnosed with the most aggressive form. I was diagnosed with triple negative, which is the most aggressive.
Yes, I was going to ask you.
39% more likely, we as in Black women, for the cancer to come back. In 2019, I actually had a cancer recurrence. I was told that the cancer came back. I know it's shocking. I didn't put that story out there. Now it's kind of out there, but I made a decision not to go, not to do chemo and radiation. I fought it with food and faith, and that's a whole nother segment that we can talk about.
What did you say you fought it with?
With food and
Did
faith.
I hear food? Did I hear food? Okay.
Food and you heard
okay.
faith. Yes.
All right.
So that's a whole nother conversation.
Okay.
But, I was more equipped because I did the work. And more than anything is trusting God and putting my faith in him. And I go back to what I said at the beginning, the battle is in the mind. And so you have to have the mind clear and ready to fight, and not, if you do get diagnosed with breast cancer, I know we're talking about these things, don't blame yourself, right? There are things that we don't know. I don't blame myself. I don't blame other people. These are things that are out of our control. We expect our industry to make sure that we have safe products. But unfortunately, that's not the case. And I don't want anyone to beat themselves up, because sometimes I feel like there are conversations that happen around lifestyle and environmental factors where we feel as though it's our fault. It's not your fault. But now that you're educated today, you can make an informed decision.
Right. And that's why I wanted you on the show, because I wanted people to understand, when you don't know, you don't know. But when you do know, now you got to, take it up and run with it, because that's the purpose of this show. Gloria said the battle is not yours, it's in the Lord's. And what I believe is, prayer without work is dead. I don't care how much you pray. If you don't do the work, because you can't just ask the Lord just to do everything, you don't do anything. So you can pray, you can exercise, you can eat the right foods, detox, and do other things. But just praying ain't going to work. Because in the old days, it's like, just pray, pray, pray. I'll subscribe to that. I subscribe to you pray and your prayer and your faith. You know what I'm saying? So your faith will tell you believe in God, but you also got to do the work. So that's what I try to tell people, that, when we talk about praying, don't forget, you got to do the work too. But thank you for being transparent. We're definitely going to have you on, and I'm definitely going to look into having a boo party, as I call it, where we can go, you can educate everyone, because we need to have this. And since it's prevalent in the African American community, and there's some women with cultures that they don't want to talk about it, that, they don't want to touch it, they don't want to do anything like that. So we need to have those conversations, because it is your body. Robin Roberts, she had breast cancer, and she went for chemo, and then the chemo damaged her body, and then she had a blood cancer.
Yeah.
So again, it's not to blame anyone, because you're right. If you're in a room with 8 people, well, somebody is gonna get it. Okay, so let's be proactive. Let's be out of that 8 group that we don't have it. None of us gets it. So I want everyone to please, please take the time. I'm always talking about self-care. Let's add checking our boobies, our breasts, as self-care as well. Eat the right things. Pray, meditate, get rid of stress. Stress is the #1 killer. Okay, the #1. So let's make sure we get folks out of our life, whether it's a husband, a mama, a daddy, a sister. Let's get rid of deep people who are toxic in our lives. And then let's work on the food and all that other stuff. So we want to thank everyone for tuning in to the Women Are Worthy Network. We want to ask the Tiah Tomlin-Harris, newly married, y'all. Okay, she's a newlywed, y'all. She done jumped the room. She's married, y'all. She is married. So again, Tia, we want to thank you for coming in. For those of you tuned in, thank you. Don't forget to subscribe. If you want to join our tribe, you must subscribe. So we thank you for tuning in. And without further ado, don't forget about self-care. Take the time just to relax, release. Take that time to do that. So again, we want to thank everyone, and we will see you, and we'll connect you with Tia.
Can I give a quick plug?
Quick, because we got 2 minutes. Quick, and it got to be done for 2 minutes.
It is the month for Black giving, Black Philanthropy Month. Please consider donating to My Style Matters. We're a 501c3 nonprofit organization, a small grassroots organization. We're out here doing the work with a small team, but we're making great things happen. So if you're looking for a nonprofit to donate to that is Black-led, focus on Black women's health, please consider My Style Matters. And if you look on my name, you'll see our Instagram, our social
handle.
My Style Matters.
So make sure. So y'all heard that. So again, we want to thank everyone for tuning in. Peace out. I love each and every one of you. If no one told you today that they love you, I love y'all. Bye.